On last week's episode of WWE Raw, Alexa Bliss brought her playground to Randy Orton. Bliss revealed that The Fiend was home after being burned by Orton during the Firefly Inferno match. Bliss sent a stern warning to the Apex Predator and said that if The Fiend does decide to come back at a later date, it would be in a manner that nobody has ever seen before. WWE has posted a promotional video regarding Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton's potential roles in the upcoming episode of Raw. Keep in mind that this particular episode will also be the final Monday Night Raw of 2020. The storyline involving Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, Alexa Bliss, and Randy Orton is currently the most intriguing aspect of the Red brand, so fans are interested to find out what will happen next in this surreal angle. Let's take a look at 5 potential outcomes for Alexa Bliss's segment with Randy Orton on WWE Raw. Number 5. Nikki Cross attacks Alexa Bliss on WWE Raw. Although Alexa Bliss returned to WWE Raw last week, her storyline with Nikki Cross wasn't addressed by Bliss as the Firefly Inferno match became the main topic of discussion. Bliss has a huge role to play in Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt's feud, but her own program with Cross also needs to take center stage for the Alexa Bliss character at some point. Perhaps in her sinister plans for Randy Orton, Alexa Bliss may have forgotten about Nikki Cross, and the latter star could interrupt the proceedings between Bliss and Orton on the upcoming edition of WWE Raw. This may be a good way to address Bliss and Orton's interactions without the involvement of any physical contact between the two stars, at least until Bray Wyatt has had enough time to recuperate and return to WWE TV. Number 4. Alexa Bliss delivers another warning to Randy Orton on WWE Raw and provides an exclusive tease regarding an even stronger version of Bray Wyatt, The Fiend. Around the time of the Firefly Inferno match, Bray Wyatt's Twitter feed gave WWE fans reason to believe that something new and intriguing was in the works. Wyatt's recent fascination with caterpillars, moths, or cocoons has prompted most people to believe that burning the Fiend was a way to give rise to an even stronger version of Bray Wyatt. As Alexa Bliss implied on WWE Raw last week, The Fiend could come back in a manner the likes of which have never been seen before. Perhaps Bliss's sinister plans for Orton could revolve around a video sneak peek regarding what awaits the Viper when Bray Wyatt decides to return to WWE TV. The subtle tease or sneak peek may act as a harbinger of doom for Randy Orton, with Alexa Bliss playing her part as the messenger. This would be a small step up from their previous encounter, where Bliss only warned the Apex Predator about his future. How would Randy Orton react to this potential outcome on WWE Raw? Number 3. Randy Orton delivers an RKO to Alexa Bliss on WWE Raw in an attempt to lure The Fiend away from his home. It has been established in the past that taking away Alexa Bliss could be a way to exploit The Fiend's weakness in WWE. The aforementioned plot point didn't play any role in the Firefly Inferno match during WWE TLC, but it could come into play on the upcoming episode of Raw. Many have speculated online that Randy Orton will attack Bliss at some point, and their next interaction could be the perfect setup for that outcome. The Firefly Inferno match changed something inside Randy Orton, as the Viper confessed that he took sadistic pleasure in burning The Fiend at TLC. Orton has already crossed moral boundaries on WWE TV, and he has attacked female superstars in the past. This time around, delivering an RKO to Bliss could be a way for Orton to accelerate The Fiend's rebirth on Raw. Orton could threaten to take away Bliss from Bray Wyatt's evil alter ego, in an attempt to lure The Fiend towards a WWE ring, away from his home. Intergender violence isn't exactly the most politically correct way to attract viewers, but it only makes sense in the context of a storyline that has already crossed reprehensible boundaries, such as Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton's program. Number 2. Bray Wyatt sends a message to Randy Orton from obscurity on WWE Raw. One can't talk about Bray Wyatt at this time without mentioning the unfortunate demise of John Huber, popularly known as Brody Lee, Luke Harper to AEW and WWE fans, respectively. There is no concrete update on when Bray Wyatt will return to WWE TV, but it doesn't seem like he will return in a full-fledged capacity so soon after TLC. From a storyline standpoint, The Fiend symbolically melted into the Earth's surface, hell, as a result of the Firefly Inferno match, so the Fiend isn't really gone forever in that context, in all the time it would take for the monstrous character to recuperate and regain his strength. Could Bray Wyatt send a cryptic message to Randy Orton from his metaphorical cocoon on the upcoming episode of WWE Raw? The message could be a mysterious video or even a sign of some kind that may confirm the Fiend's lust for revenge against the apex predator. Little Miss Bliss and her sinister plans for Randy Orton would certainly spell doom for the Viper if Bray Wyatt got involved in some capacity. Number 1. Edge returns on WWE Raw to resume his feud with Randy Orton. Alexa Bliss may have her own sinister plans for Randy Orton on WWE Raw, but could these plans remain a mystery when someone else other than Bray Wyatt confirms his lust for revenge against the Viper during the last Raw episode of 2020? It seems likely that Edge will return for a rubber match against Randy Orton after successfully recovering from his injury, based on rumors and speculation heading into WrestleMania 37, but there is enough reason to believe that plans for Edge's return could be accelerated. It wasn't too long ago that Monday Night Raw received record-low television ratings. WWE has to make better overall efforts for the Red Branch shows, and booking a temporary Legends Night isn't a long-lasting solution at all. Edge's long-term storyline with Randy Orton could resume on the upcoming edition of WWE Raw. Bliss and Orton's interactions can't go on for a long time if Bray Wyatt won't be returning to television soon. In the meantime, Edge's return could fill the gap left by Wyatt, and WWE fans might even get to witness a triple threat feud between all parties involved when The Fiend, Bray Wyatt makes a comeback.